So I started my first full-time job about how long ago? I'm looking at my calendar. About let's see, it's Friday, so 4 weeks ago is when, yeah, 4 weeks ago is when I got the job offer and made a counter offer and got the job basically. And 4 weeks, yeah. Um, and it's it's still sinking in, like I I've gotten one paycheck so far. Supposedly I'm gonna get another one next week, and it just doesn't really feel real still. Um, so far, I mean, everyone's job experience is going to be different, um, depending on the company, depending on the situation, etc. For me, I've really appreciated the freedom that I've had in this role so far. In fact, in terms of life changes, it hasn't been that big of a life change, besides the paycheck, of course. um, but I'm basically just at home doing my coding throughout the day, and it hasn't changed that much. I do have teammates, of course, but we don't have daily meetings. We don't even have weekly meetings. We use WhatsApp, which is just basically a chat app, to ask questions or check in how we're doing and everything. And that's pretty much it. It's very hands off. But I also think that's one of the reasons he hired me, is because he needed someone who could work very independently. That's what he shared with me. I asked him, like, why did you reach out to me? It's very good when you're going to interviews to ask the interviewer questions as well, because you want to know if you're going into a good situation or not. So that's a good question I like to ask, is why did you reach out to me? What are you looking for in a web developer, etc. So I see a couple of people have joined. Hi. This is very spontaneous. A couple more people. Okay, great. Very spontaneous. So if you have questions or just want to comment or whatever, this is just a spontaneous live stream. It's Friday night. Cheers. And I'm actually kind of celebrating. Hi. Because I finished the rough draft to my ebook tonight. It's one of those things that I thought about doing and I just started doing, and I put it on my calendar actually for today, that I would finish the first draft of my ebook today. And I actually did it. So that's exciting. Like, that's kind of what I have found using my calendar, is when I estimate how long it'll take me and I put it down on the calendar, it just magically happens. I don't know. So yeah, that's something I like to do, is estimate and put things on the calendar. And I actually go over that in my ebook. It's about how to teach yourself web development. So yeah, what's the ebook about? Good question. It's kind of going through, since I taught myself web development, it goes through basically the journey I went through and the resources I used, but I tried to improve on it also, because of course, hindsight 2020, right? So I learned a lot since I first started, and there's certain things that I wished that I had done differently. So I tried to integrate that into the book as well. It's almost like a step-by-step, like, guide for how to teach yourself web development based on what I did. And there's probably better ways of doing it, or you'll have to adapt it to your own situation or whatever. But apparently, I mean, it worked for me. So I just share what I did in the hopes that it's going to help somebody. And one reason I thought about doing it and was motivated enough to do it is because I've had a lot of people, especially since getting my first job, ask me for help or for guidance about how to learn web development. And it is really intimidating, like not knowing where to start or how to progress. A lot of the online courses take you through kind of the beginnings, like the basics, and then you're just kind of left hanging, possibly. How many pages? I haven't formatted it yet, so I don't know how that's going to affect it. Yeah, so I don't know how that's going to affect it, the formatting. I'd like to make it look nice. You know, I got an ebook by Kelly Vaughn, I think it was, about freelancing. And I really liked the formatting that she used. It looks very professional and easy to read. So we'll see. Probably between 60 and 100 pages is what we're looking at. How do you do competitive coding? Oh my goodness. Only with myself. What does that even mean? I've never heard of that. That sounds way too stressful. Yeah, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like when I was little, I used to play chess with my older brother, and he liked using a clock, and it just stressed me out way too much. Like, no. I'd be moving my pieces in ways that just totally killed them, and I would die really quickly because I was on the clock and I felt the pressure. I do pretty well at chess if there's no clock. Like, if I can actually think about things and think about all the different moves. Obviously, you can overthink things, which I think that's one reason my brother liked the clock, is because he didn't have to just sit around waiting for me while I figured out the best option. But anyway, yeah, no, I don't do competitive coding. Doesn't really sound fun to me. Can you do that on Code Wars, or where do you even do that? Is there a platform for it? Like, is this a spectator sport? Like, can people watch people code competitively? Like, because if there's not a platform for that, I think there might be people who would be interested in that. It's like people watching two chess masters play chess. It's the same kind of thing. Like, the average person would probably be bored, but anyone who's actually into coding would be like, oh, he's using that technique. Oh, that technique is so much faster. He's going to win this one. And commentary. We could even have commentators. Yeah, this is a great sport idea. Maybe it's already been done, but I like this idea. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, my ebook. Yeah, my job, my ebook. Yeah, those are the two main things that I have not made videos about. I have not made any videos lately just because I've been coding and writing. Those are the two things I've been doing, besides juggling 2 full-time schedules with 4 kids. Yeah. Okay, so there are platforms like Code Chef and Code Forces. Okay, I've not heard of those or looked into those. So that sounds really interesting. I'll have to check those out and see what they're about. Because I know, like, Code Wars is the only kind of coding challenge platform I've gotten into a little bit. And I know they have katas and kumite. And I only assume that kumite is sparring or like competitive coding, because that's what it meant in my karate days, kumite, you know. I never clicked on that because I did not want to spar. Yeah, competitive coding. Oh my goodness. As though it's not stressful enough just doing it on your own and not knowing if you're doing it right. It's okay. It's okay. It sounds thrilling. Yeah, so have you done competitive coding? I mean, like, what's the deal? Do people get famous over this? Like, are there famous coders who are like the champions of all codingdom? This is why I like going live. It's because I can say really strange things, and there's no going back. There's no going back. Like, it's live. There's no, I guess you can edit the videos, but I'm not interested in figuring out how to do that. How did you prepare for your interview? This particular interview was wonderful. There were no coding challenges. I have done other interviews with coding challenges. But for the most part, I was not relying on doing well on coding challenges to get me in the door. My approach was much more building projects and learning publicly and basically showing what I could do on social media rather than relying on being on the spot, being able to think about how much that relies on luck too. You know, you show up, and if you getting the job or not totally depends on how well you do at one coding challenge. I'm not sure that's a very good measure of how hireable you are. Now, being able to share your thought process and work through a problem and break it down, these are all important things. No matter what the algorithm, even if it's a super hard one, you can at least go through that process, right? So I did do live coding challenges on my YouTube channel, and I shared them just to practice going through that whole process, talking through the problem, doing pseudocode, etc. But for this particular interview, that's exactly what happened. Is he saw what I had posted on, in this case, on Twitter, like a React Native app that I had posted, and he was very impressed. He looked at some of my other demo videos and my GitHub repos, and it looked like a good match. So there was, we basically just had a chat about technical things, and that was the interview. So great. So now that you're coding for work, do you still find time to code for fun? Well, you know what? I'm actually having fun coding at work. So it's like, it's great. At the moment, I don't feel the need to do my own projects. I was interested in doing more with React Native. I learned React Native, and I was interested in doing more projects with React Native, but guess what? That's my first assignment at work, is to build a React Native app. So there you go. I get to do exactly what I wanted to do. I don't have time to code for fun. Let's put it that way. I don't have time to code for fun. But coding for work is really filling that need for me. Now that I'm done with my ebook, well, I'm not done yet. I still need to edit it, format it, et cetera, et cetera. But that's where my spare time has been going, is towards the ebook. So we'll see what else comes up after that. But I don't know. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna have some fun or pick up a hobby or something. Like I've been memorizing the first song in Hamilton, and maybe I'll do a video of myself rapping the first song in Hamilton, something that is totally that nobody would ever pay me for and is totally useless, but is really fun. That's what I want to do now that I have a job. It's like a little vacation. Let's see. Yes. How cool. Yes, it is cool. I get to use technology I really want to work with. Yes. It's amazing. I would say I've one thing that's made it more complicated is having to learn TypeScript. That's basically what I did my first 2 weeks on the job. Maybe it was just 1 week, was learning TypeScript. Now, I haven't learned it completely, not going to learn it completely in a week or 2 weeks, but it's been slowing things down a little bit, just because I do things I know how to do, but, oh, wait, there's a TypeScript error here. I have to figure out what it means and how to do it in a way that makes TypeScript happy. But that's okay. But once again, TypeScript was on my list of things to learn. So there you go. I get to work with React Native. I get to learn TypeScript, which I intended to do anyway. And yeah, that's pretty exciting so far. Oh man. The other day I saw someone post on Twitter, someone who's been looking for a job, basically saying how discouraged they are, how draining it is. And I just felt for her so much. Like, yes, I feel your pain. And I basically gave up on looking for jobs. I gave up on looking for jobs, at least for a while. I was burnt out, I was ready to get back to coding and get back to learning more things, and put the job search on hold for a while. And interestingly, what I learned after I put my job search on hold is what has ended up generating a lot more interest. So the joys of learning a new language. Yes. And TypeScript does help me. TypeScript catches bugs before they happen, basically. I compared it to something I like to compare it to is spell check versus grammar check. So if you're writing something, the spell check will only catch the misspelled words, right? But the grammar check will check whether it makes sense in the context of what you're writing. So if you say there, THERE instead of THIRE, spell check's not going to catch that, but grammar check will, because it doesn't make sense in the context of your sentence. So that's basically what TypeScript does in JavaScript, is saying, okay, well, technically this is allowed in JavaScript, but it doesn't make sense in the context of your program and what you're writing here. So better look into that. Let's see. It's very easy to burn out on the job hunt, especially now with the pandemic making it harder. Yes. When jobs are scarce, the job hunt is even harder. Now, yeah, it makes it harder. It does depend on the company. It depends on, for example, companies that are more, for example, Amazon. Amazon's doing great, right? Netflix is doing great. People are using those more than ever, probably because of the pandemic. So companies like that are dependent on online things might even be doing better than ever. And in this case, I mean, the company that hired me is one of those companies. And actually, some startups, there was another startup that was interested in me, once again, for React Native. React Native is like the secret sauce. What the heck? There's so many companies that want native apps made, but can't spare their more senior engineers who are working on other things to learn React Native and build something, or whatever the reason is. React Native developers are sought after. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to learn it. So yeah. And the hiring freezes, there were a few leads that I had. In fact, I was on the verge of getting my first job right when the pandemic hit and it was cut off. And I know a lot of people are in the same boat in that sense. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to take a break and just kind of wait for it to blow over. Now, I mean, that would have taken forever if I had just waited around, because this is lasting a long time, right? And it's going to last longer probably. But yeah, some companies are doing better and others are doing worse. But if you look at job boards, there's still jobs being posted all the time. I look at LinkedIn every day, and every day there seem to be several, those notifications. Congratulate so-and-so for starting a new position at such and such, so people are still hiring and getting hired. So that's good to see. Everything hasn't totally stopped. What is my monthly pay? People ask me how much I get paid. Just, money is one of those things that's like immodest to talk about. I choose not to say, but let's just say I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I could not. I'm not in the position that I could really accept an internship or like one of those just a foot in the door being paid scraps kind of positions, because I have 4 kids, so I had to at least be able to afford to replace the work that I was doing at home, right? So the idea of getting a full-time nanny or some kind of childcare or whatever, which is, with the pandemic is kind of iffy now, but we're making it work. But yeah, so I held out, which means I had to up my skills a lot more, right? Because I honestly probably could have gotten a job much earlier if I had been willing to settle for less, like a foot in the door kind of salary. But in my case, especially since I wasn't desperate to get a job as soon as possible, it was worth it to wait a little longer and to continue to up my skills. Have my kids taken an interest in coding, seeing what Nat and I are doing? Nat's my husband. If so, have you looked into coding stuff for kids? Now, the kids are definitely interested. Kids are always interested in doing what adults do. They want to do what adults are doing. So they watch us and they want to do it. And for some reason, a lot of times we try to stop them from doing it, like screen time, right? Most people limit screen time. Well, do you limit your own screen time? Good question. If it really is bad to be on screens all day, then why are we doing it so much? And yes, it's been very good for them. I've shared the whole journey with them, it was a little easier to share with them earlier on when I was making fun little games or showing them just my HTML, CSS web pages or different things. Coding, but when you look at more advanced code, you just kind of go cross-eyed because you have no idea. It's just a bunch of colorful letters. But yeah, she, my oldest at least, was very interested when she even made her own computer with web pages. Like she drew a little keyboard and taped up a little screen, and she had a little plastic thing over it, and she'd make different pages like a Google and a Gmail, and she'd slip it into the screen. It was very cute. Web pages. But yeah, they're pretty young. They're like ages 3 through 7. So yeah. Yeah, it was very cool. Did I keep that computer? I was gonna post it or something. See, the thing with kids is like, I post things that the kids do on Facebook. Facebook is kind of my friends and family way of interacting. And then I do professional networking development stuff on Twitter and LinkedIn. So I kind of keep them separate. And so those are the people who are mostly, and I share all my kids' fun stuff with. But yeah, she's mostly interested. They get very interested in making YouTube videos, of course. Well, for one thing, they like watching YouTube videos. There's like Kids Fun TV and Art for Kids Hub and Ninja Kids. These are all like families that are making YouTube videos with awesome stories and fight scenes and stuff. And it just inspires their imagination. And of course, they see Nat and I both doing YouTube videos about different things. So they've caught on to that as well. And I think they understand it better than the coding as well. I'm trying to think if there's something. Yeah, but for the most part, we like, like our oldest has a Chromebook, and so she can explore the, she can read and write, and we teach her how to do things and such, but so she can look things up on her own, because she knows that's how you learn. That's how we learn. That's how I've been learning, is whenever I want to learn something, I look it up on Google, and or watch videos on YouTube about it or something. Like the other day, anyway, this is getting way off topic. This is not about web development at all, but we're just chatting, right? But like, we found out yesterday that roly-polies, like, those little pill bugs, they're not insects. They're crustaceans. They're crustaceans. They're like shrimp. They're like little shrimp that live on land. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Yeah, Googling, I mean, and that's the way education is going, is what can you not learn? What can you not learn on the internet nowadays? As long as you know how, I mean, there are ways to search on Google, that like specific keywords, or being able to know how to search, like that's a skill in itself. But if you can find the resources, what can you not learn? And even like history or politics, I mean, even just watching Hamilton, right? I learned so much from watching Hamilton. Like, I remember reading about Alexander Hamilton in school. Excuse me. And I just have these vague memories of what part he played. I remember him getting shot, but I don't remember like the context at all, or what else he did in life. So that was amazing to have that play, that I learned so much more about him. Yeah, and I won't forget. That's for sure. I mean, there was a little twist on it. I mean, all these little twists, but just think about it. There's that one. There's the John Adams series, which is also excellent. There's a James Madison movie that I watched a long time ago. I'll have to look into that one again. But what other one was there? But there's all these different movies. There's The Patriot, right, with Mel Gibson. That's around the same time. But like, you could learn so much about that time of history just by watching all these different movies, right? Once you learn the words for things, it gets even easier to search for solutions to problems. Yes, a search lead me to use layout effect hook and React. Yes, all these great hooks. I'm using Redux hooks in my present. I came across Redux hooks in the tutorial I went through to learn React Native. And it was amazing, just so much easier than using Connect. But I mean, when I shared it on LinkedIn, then people voiced up their concerns, like that it, in terms of efficiency, functionality, man, I'm tired. But there are some drawbacks. Let's just put it that way. There's some drawbacks, but in terms of the speed of development and how easy it is to implement, it definitely has its pros as well. All these hooks are taking over the world, definitely. What is my best project that I've worked on till now, and did it help in the interview for your job? The best project I've worked on is my last one, which was a React Native app for a client, actually. It was and you can find my demo video of it on YouTube, but it was, yeah, it definitely my best one. It brought all my skills together. Having user login, I used Redux, of course, for state management, communicating with the API. My client actually made the API, so I was able to collaborate with him on it. Yeah, that was definitely my best one. Now, my code is not up there because it's not my code. It's my client's code, right? I had to hand it over to him. So if you want to look at a project that has my actual code on it, the My School app is the closest to that one. And I did the front end and back end on that. The back end, I adapted from a tutorial I followed, so it's not 100% mine, but the front end was. And it's very similar, besides not being React Native, to my React Native app. So let's see, I missed one here. Message retracted. Oh, I hate math. Yes. Never interested in math. I didn't learn math after my 3rd grade. I just want to know how to code. Can I still learn coding? Please give answer in binary. I do not know binary, but I have had to convert things to binary before. Math. Math is always one of those things people bring up. You don't have to know math. Whenever now I did take 3 semesters of calculus in college, okay? So I learned math. I did a lot of math. It never came naturally. I never enjoyed it. There you go, binary. Good job. That'd be something if we could communicate in binary. Yes, you can still learn how to code. In fact, when I come across algorithms that have to do with math, any kind of mathematical thing, I usually look it up. I'm like, how do I find the number that does this? Or how do I convert this date to this? Or different things like that. Because if you know how to find the answers, I've shared this before, is that I'm not strong in logical reasoning, but I am strong in creative problem solving. And I draw a distinction between those two. So if I can find the answer, if I can understand the problem and find the answer, that's as good as being able, this is a general statement, that can be as good as being able to figure out the problem yourself, right? Because there are a lot of very smart developers and software engineers out there who have figured all this stuff out. And I'm like the cheater coming in and finding the problem they've already solved and adapting it to my own purposes and needs. So I think I talked last time about how I consider myself more of a pirate than a ninja in terms of web development, because I just find the easy way and cheat as much as possible. Honestly, I cheat honestly. I'm an honest pirate. Anyway, you know what? Thanks for showing up, guys. I think this is probably long enough for tonight. This is fun. After a week of working and such, it's good to talk to real people and interact a little bit. I mean, Twitter and LinkedIn are very good for interacting with people, but in real time like this is very fun. Yes, thanks for coming, Sarah. Oh yeah, I'm coming at it with a fresh perspective, not cheating. Thank you for saying that. Yes. All right. Well, see you next time, whenever that may be, and have a wonderful weekend, guys.